Blessed Sunday morning to everyone. We are going to continue in the space of meditation for our musical meditation, a space of reflection, a space of breathing, a space of listening, a space to be creative in our thoughts, in our energy. As I release my creative energy and spirit into your spaces, into your hearts, into your minds, guided by our ancestors, guided by the universal laws of vibration. That's what music is. It's really just a vibration of energy, of sound, of thoughts. So we're going to continue in that meditative space. Give thanks. morning, and welcome to OCSL, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Kev Choice, musician, community member here. And I'll be doing our opening song at this moment. So we got Margo in the building. Hello, Margo. How are you? How she took over my screen, but there you are. Maybe they can highlight me again. Thank you. We're going to do this song called The Family of God, since we are all family in here. And if you would like to turn on your screen, but stay muted and wave at someone, smile at someone, say hello in the chat, say good morning. Let's spread some energy through this virtual world that we are in, where we are all connected through energy and spirit. We are all part of the family of God. So glad I'm a part of the family of God. I've been washed in the fountain and cleansed by the love. Joy heirs with the Spirit as we travel this world. For I'm part of the family of God. You will notice we say brother and sister round here. It's because we're a family and our folks are so near. When one has a problem, we all shed a tear and rejoice in each victory and the family so dear. I'm so glad I'm part of the family of God. I've been washed in the fountain and cleansed by the love. Joy heirs with Spirit as we travel this world. For I'm part of the family of God. From the doors of an orphanage to the house of a king, no longer an outcast, a new song I sing. From rags to riches, from the weak to the strong, we all are worthy to be here and belong. I'm so glad I'm part of the family of God. I've been washed in the fountain and cleansed by the love. Joy heirs with Spirit as we travel this world. We're all part of the family of God. Thank you very much, the family of God. And now I will turn it over to Maureen French. Give thanks.
Good morning, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. It is so great to be here. I'm having a hard time seeing the PowerPoint, so I'm going to say good morning. Thanks to our wonderful musicians, Kev Choice And we will also be hearing from Nina Porter. There we are, our beautiful musicians. So thank you so much, Kevin, for that inspirational opening. So I am Maureen French. I am a member of Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I'm also a board member, and I'm a practitioner studies student as well. So I am very happy to be here and very happy to see all your wonderful faces and to commune with you today on this beautiful day. Welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, where we teach spiritual principles and practices that nourish us, uplift us, and celebrate our oneness with all of life. Welcome to those of you who are joining us via Zoom today, and also especially welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. If you would like to connect with Oakland Center, you can please contact Constance Chapman, our administrative coordinator, at constance@oaklandcsl.org. Let us now take a moment to bless our children. If you could read along with me as you're muted. We honor all our youth and children in our community and the world. We love you. We see you. You are Spirit's gift to us. Thank you for being in our lives. And so it is. I have just a few announcements this morning. First, next Wednesday, our midweek oasis, as Paul Prosciutti likes to say, is on Wednesday, February 2nd. It is the beginning of Black History Month. It's also Groundhog Day and in bulk, also called St. Bridget's Day. It marks the beginning of spring, and for Christians, it is the feast day of St. Bridget. It is about halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. The theme for the month is the inner life. And for the week, it is, who am I? Why am I here? Practitioner Bonnie Gonzalez will be transporting in from Mexico to speak on this rich topic. This will be a multicultural, multi-celebration evening. Meditation is at 6:30 and service at 7 p.m. Wednesday services are continuing on Zoom. Then also on Sunday, for the next Sunday service, we will be hearing from Reverend Celeste A. Frazier. Looking forward to that. The season for nonviolence is upon us. It begins today, Sunday, January 30th. And for 64 days, we will put our consciousness and attention on nonviolence. We know what we pay attention to grows. So let's grow nonviolence in this community. When you sign up to take part, you will receive a daily email with thoughts to contemplate. You may also pick up the booklet to do daily journaling. Please sign up today by going to the events page. The sign up link will also be in the Village News. Our nonprofit partner is Hively. Oakland Center is partnering up with Hively for the month of January to collect non-perishable foods and diapers. Diapers sizes 1 through 5T are especially appreciated. Collection Barrel is located outside the social hall and will be collecting donations until January 30th. Today is the last day for you to get the donations to the center. Calm. The Compassionate Attention to Loss group will be meeting on the first Sunday of the month. Join practitioners Zoe DeMuro and Bonnie Gonzalez for a healing discussion on honoring grief through ritual. Calm is meeting on Zoom at 12:30. Details on the events page of the website. Cast book study is back. Emeritus practitioner Carmen West Jefferson will be facilitating an 8-week in-depth study of the book Cast, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. According to NPR, it is a masterwork of writing, a profound achievement of scholarship and research that stands also as a triumph of both visceral storytelling and cogent analysis. This class is taking place on Zoom starting Monday, February 7th at 6:30 for 8 weeks. Please go to the events page of the website where you can sign up and make your love offering. We will be continuing on Zoom for our Sunday and Wednesday services, our Sunday services specifically, for the month of February. Our intention is to make sure our spiritual family is safe, and we will keep you informed as we move forward. We appreciate all of you, and we look forward to seeing you connecting on Zoom. For more information and to these activities that were mentioned today, check the Village News for links and check out the website, oaklandcsl.org. So now if you would all take a deep breath with me as you stay muted, and we can go ahead and read the vision and mission statement aloud. The vision of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is to joyfully reveal the love and oneness of God. We are a welcoming and inclusive spiritual community dedicated to individual transformation and collective growth. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community and the world through education, music, prayer, and play. And so it is. So now I will be passing over the Zoom microphone to practitioner Zoe DeMuro.
Thank you, Maureen. Good morning once again, folks. I'm a licensed practitioner here at the Oakland Center, and this morning I'll be your pulpit assistant. So let's start with our new minister, Sacred Covenant. I'll ask you to please read it along with me, but stay muted to improve our transition. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to reveal spirit, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as wisdom. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by Spirit, for it is written, I am filled with divine wisdom. I allow divine mind to fill my
We've lost Zoe.
As I stand, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you, Zoe.
Okay. Sorry, folks. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as unity in the community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself. For I am inspiring unity and diversity, embracing and nourishing our community. I am awakening the wisdom within. I am
We lost you again, Zoe.
engaged in the community, building a world that works for everyone. I am deepening a family consciousness. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they are revealed in a way that illumines spirit and serves the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious, and so it is. Ashe. All right. Now, assuming that my internet connection is going to be good to me, we have two readings. Our first reading is from Paulo Coelho. There is only one way to learn. This one more time. The first reading is actually from Ernest Holmes. Our founder says, I would rather see a student of this science prove its principle to have him repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. And our second reading is from Paulo Coelho. There is only one way to learn. It's through action. Everything you need to know, you have learned through your journey. So we'll take a breath together and we'll focus our attention on the one, on loving spirit, the source, the sustenance of all life. And know that we are blessed. We're blessed to be together in this sacred moment. We're blessed to be the conduit for God's love and for God's grace. We are blessed to have the opportunity to express God's love, God's grace, God's light in and through and as ourselves. We know that regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the conditions, that God's grace always flows through us. And God's grace is there for us to use, for us to provide for this world all that we can possibly bring to make a world that does indeed work for everyone. We speak of our philosophy as being a teaching philosophy, a learning. I want to acknowledge that we are blessed for our speakers, the incredible Margo Talbet and Robyn Rice Olmstead, exceptional practitioners here at the center, and for our Reverend Jerry, and for all the folks who work so diligently to make this village all that it can possibly be. In that spirit of thanksgiving, I release my word to the law and to the love of God, and so it is. And now, I would like to turn things over to our incredible, exceptional musician, Nina Porter.
Thank you, Zoe. So good to be here with you this morning and the whole OCSL community. It's been a little while. And I really loved what you were speaking. The song that was in my heart to share today was a song called Superpowers. And may it be a reminder of the fact that we are all superheroes. When we do allow ourselves to be the conduit for God's love, for God's grace, for God's light, and to allow the elements of kindness and compassion and empathy and curiosity and wonder to flow through us, we get our superpowers and our superhero abilities activated and online so we can better show up and serve our brothers and sisters. I hope this song resonates with you. Enjoy. What if our superpowers always existed? They just wait and listen for our call out, for our song. Always remember the one we've known all along. What if our superpower are only found in one another, intertwined and interwoven? We can't deny that we've all been chosen to be here, be alive, to be here to thrive. Yeah, we're shaking off the dust and we're tending to our fires. Yes, we're here, we're alive, and we came here to thrive. And we're finding a new freedom, and we're ready for a new season. Oh, what if our superpowers radiated? They broke through all time and all spaces, bridging worlds and bridging people, and turning our dreams into moments we can feel. Yes, we're here, we're alive, and we came here to thrive. And we're brushing off the dust, and we're tending to our fires. Yes, we're here, we're alive, and we came here to thrive. And we're finding our new freedom, and we're ready for our new season. I see tomorrow and it's a brighter day, 'cause we've been growing through these changes, baby. Yeah, I see tomorrow and it's a brighter day, 'cause we've been growing through these changes, baby. changes, babe. I see tomorrow when it's a brighter day. 'Cause we've been growing through these changes. Thank you so much. May you keep on going and growing through these changes that life holds for us. I'm going to pass the microphone to Reverend Jerry Carter.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Nina. It's such a delight to have you back with us. And that was so beautiful. The transmission was beautiful. And the song, the words, we keep going, we keep growing, so perfect, because that's how I see our Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. We keep going and we keep growing regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the glitchy internet, regardless of the fact that we're on a Zoom platform rather than being in person. We find a way to keep growing and to keep going. So thank you. And I'm so inspired today because this is the 5th Sunday of the month, and this is known as Practitioner Sunday. And what I'm thrilled about today is that we are so blessed by our new incoming practitioners and those practitioners who have been with us for a long, long time. So I'm going to read you a little bit about our practitioners today. One practitioner who is a practitioner emeritus, that means she's been a practitioner for 20 years. That's Robyn Rice Olmstead. The other practitioner is Margo Talbet, and Margo is in our last graduating practitioner class. So regardless of whether you've been with us for 20 years or 2 years, there is a deep calling that happens when you become a practitioner and minister. And the calling's the same. It's that calling to service, that calling to loving your community and supporting one another. And these two individuals we are truly blessed by. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Robyn Rice Olmstead, 20-year practitioner. She is passionate about service and currently serves with our greater CSL organization as a practitioner regional representative. And she was just reelected this last couple of weeks ago when we had our annual conference. She was just reelected for her second term on the Practitioner Council, where she serves our practitioners globally. She loves to work with her husband, leading workshops and retreats. And they have just started a radio show on New Thought Media Network called Rockin' the Love. So we're going to hear from Robyn in a little bit. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Margo, who's going to be our first speaker today. Margo is a practitioner of our last graduating class, as I mentioned, and I have so enjoyed getting to know Margo in our classes as a facilitator and just seeing her around our campus. Margo is also an amazing gardener, and there's no bones about it. When you drive into our center, you will see the beautiful, beautiful work that she does along with her team in gardening services. And she is of such high consciousness. And I'm so grateful that she has brought her consciousness to our gardens, because when you drive into our sacred center, you can really feel the beauty that exists there between Margo and her team of Diane Warner and Bob, who does the watering. And I know Sam is on board, and anyone who I may not have mentioned. It does take a village to keep everything beautiful and pristine. And we are certainly blessed by villagers who are so giving of their time, their talent, and their treasure. So I am going to welcome our beloved Margo to the platform now. This is her first time speaking on a Sunday service, and I know that I am so excited because I love collaborative ministry, and this is just another extension of it, having Margo and Robyn with us here today. So Margo, please join us.
Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. I have you in my mind's eye and in my heart. And if I were wanting to bring you present, I would have you follow your breath or feel yourself sitting on your chair or your feet on the ground. And And if you'll notice, all of those means use the body, because the body is the one place that is always, always, always in the now. It is always, every minute that we have ever existed, it's been here. And the challenge is to get the rest of us in the now more often. And we've already had wonderful talks about that this month. Sometimes we get there with meditation, or as Nina beautifully put it, with a creative activity of some kind. Athletes talk about being in the zone. Even lovemaking can bring us into the present moment. But it's a challenge to live there more often. You know, a few months ago, this same Robyn Rice Olmstead introduced me to an author new to me. Some of you may have heard him. His name is Dr. Richard Moss. And she had read a book, The Mandala of Being, that excited her. And she thought, I should check it out. And I have, and I've really, really enjoyed it. And I'd like to bring you, and I think the books that I read, a second book by him, The Inside Out Healing, Transforming Your Life Through the Power of Presence. And they're going to appear in the chat for you if that's of interest to you. And so how do you talk about two books in a few minutes? But what I'd like to talk to you about from him is he has ideas. He says too, he says, everyone says, get in the now, but how to do it. He has developed a very reasoned, spiritual based process for doing that. And the one thing I thought I'd talk to you about today was what he says is in the way of our being in the present moment. And he says, if we're not anchored or embodied in the now, our thinking is going to take us to one of four places, and that's the past, the present, thinking about ourselves, or thinking about what he calls you, which is everybody and everything else. And I'm going to give you some examples. I want you to notice that there's a thinking element, and then there's the emotional effect of the thinking. So I'm going to use myself as an example of a story from the future, because it's the stories, he says, that we identify with. I mean, not everything we think is going to be a block, but when our stories get so identified with them, me and my story are one, and I believe it. So back in 2020, I was scheduled for a second knee replacement, and of course, COVID canceled that. And the months went by, and all of a sudden I heard popping up in my thinking, I'm never going to be able to walk in the redwoods again. And it didn't matter. I could be watching a Warriors game, which makes me infinitely happy. And like a beach ball, it would pop up. And so it caused me unhappiness. It caused me to be depressed. And I brought out that part of me I call Pitiful Pearl. Oh, poor Margo, you love your redwoods and you love your walks. So notice the two that went together, the thinking and the emotions. In his book, the author, Dr. Moss, gives several examples, one of which was an example of me thinking, a me story, where this cancer patient with quite advanced cancer comes to him, and he's very depressed and he's very downtrodden. And it's not because of the cancer, it's because he has this belief, which is, I should do more about my cancer. And apparently his wife is bringing him new ideas, new trials, new possible places he could go, and it isn't a match for him. But what he makes of it is that he should be ashamed of himself for not wanting to do more. So he is very depressed by that, and the doctor works with him on that. And then just a little while ago, one of my clients, almost in one breath, she gave me an example of a me story and a past story at the same time. She was complaining that her boyfriend came in the door and did not communicate with her in a way that made her feel cared. So her story was, he doesn't care about me. This is in spite of the fact she's also showing me the engagement ring she got that week. So while she is just very hurt by his non-caring in her story, she's also saying, oh, I hear myself, I'm complaining again. I'm always complaining. That's my family of origin. I don't know what I can do about it. You know, I'm doomed. So 2 stories. He doesn't care, you story, and a past story of I'm doomed. I'm doomed by my past. And of course, many people talk about stories. My dear teacher, Angelise Arians, used to say, that's a story that doesn't have to be true. And those of you who follow Byron Katie, she is eloquent on this. She has 3 questions she asks of the story, and I'll use them with my story. She'd say to me, Margo, do you know with 100% certainty that you will never walk in the redwoods again? Well, 100%, maybe not 100%, I'd say, but I probably want to form a but. But before I do that, she'd say, well, who are you when you do believe it's true? And there we have the same thing as Dr. Moss's affect. It's going to affect me. It's going to bring me emotional distress. And then her beautiful 3rd question is, who would you be if you didn't believe it was true? So 4 directions, the stories that come in that kind of thinking, and the emotional thing that comes with it. And as I was thinking about this, it reminded me of a very influential poem in my life, certainly in my religious journey back in my early 20s. And then I found it a few years ago, or did it find me? And it's up on my wall now. It's a poem by Omar Khayyam, a Persian poet of the 12th century. Thank you, Persia, for all your poems, your poets. And it goes like this. I sent my soul into the invisible, a letter of the afterlife to find. And by it returned to me and answered, I myself am heaven and hell. I myself am heaven and hell. I think that's what he's trying to show in the Dr. Moss in the stories and its effect, that we actually create a lot of our suffering. And so Dr. Moss has the 4 directions. Feel what you're feeling. Don't be afraid of feelings, he says. And I so underscore that. I have long felt that we could not be whole if we were avoiding a part of us. But he also has made this statement that I've lived with for these months. I'll read it in case I don't have it memorized. Pretty stunning. He says, for most people, the inability to differentiate thinking from awareness is the great ignorance. The great sleep, is the great ignorance and the great sleep. And, you know, none of these things are to be proved. Our beautiful readings this morning talk about, we prove things by trying them out. Maybe you'll feel like bringing your attention to look for your stories. I gave the Inside Out healing book to a friend, and he came back in a short time. He says, I'm walking around all day saying, that's a story. That's a story. And so we, in order to make use of them to see if there's something for us in them, we, as the saying said this morning, we need to go into action. But this difference between thought and awareness, Dr. Moss says we're either thinking or we're in awareness. If we're in awareness, there are no thoughts. If we're thinking, we aren't anywhere in awareness. Pretty powerful stuff. And it makes me think of a very dramatic example of that was Eckhart Tolle. He tells the story of when he was a very depressed university student in England and sitting on a bench trying to come up with very concrete ways to end his life. And suddenly this moment of incredible grace where, and I remember he turns his head when he's telling the story and he says, what is that part of me watching me plan this? And then the one that really even gives goosebumps, he says, that must be who I really am. That must be who I really am. So a beautiful, beautiful example of that differentiation. And about a week ago, my younger daughter, Laura, called me to tell me that Thich Nhat Hanh had died. And together we remembered one of the really profound shared experiences that we had. She was a student at Cal in the 90s, and she heard that Thich Nhat Hanh was coming to Berkeley and got us tickets. I came over from Marin. It was an incredible evening. You know, to me, it showed that the jewel of being a spiritual person, living a human life, is getting into the presence as much as you can. The whole evening was magical, but there was this one segment where he took an orange and he talked to that orange. And Laura and I talked about this again. Was it 10 minutes? Was it 20 minutes? It was a really, 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 really long time. He was so connected, so present. He had an intimate connection with that, the moment that he was in, and through that connection with the orange, with all of life. And that itself created a spell. I mean, I tried afterwards, maybe a minute. I had a minute of things to say about the orange. It was an incredible connection. But what was life-changing for both of us was his state of being. He was so full of joy, so excited about that orange, so one with that orange, so shiny, so in love with the orange and with all of life. You know, what a holy man, wholly present. So I'm going to get into the present and introduce the wondrous Robyn Rice Olmstead. I hope some of this was inspiring and useful to you today. Hello, Robyn.
Hello, Margo. Let's all take a breath and just have a moment for Margo. Sending lots of love and hearts and a thunderous applause. I love God. I love spirit. I love that this service, that none of us talk about it during the week, and yet the perfect readings show up and the perfect songs that beautiful Nina has graced us with. And Margo's talk, it's just everything truly, truly is working together for our good. Okay, but so what I am here to talk about, Margo talked about the power of now, and Richard Moss and Eckhart Tolle and all about that, which is about staying in the now. And when last week, Reverend Jerry said to me, would you talk about the conference, since I got to attend the Centers for Spiritual Living conference. Now, how many of you out there are familiar with the larger organization of Centers for Spiritual Living? I know that many of you know, but some of you may not know that we're part of a larger organization. And Centers for Spiritual Living has over 400 spiritual communities in 30 countries. There are over 2,000 practitioners, licensed practitioners, and our teachings and books are published in several languages. So last week we held our annual conference in Palm Springs, and fittingly it was called Embrace the Now. So it's all here. It was pretty exciting. It was exciting to be together with people in a room, and it was really well done. The procedures were all good. There was COVID tests beforehand, and everyone passed and nobody failed, which in and of itself is pretty impressive. A lot of people canceled because they were concerned, obviously, about travel and all of that. But there were over 200 attendees, and it was the perfect size because we really got to connect with people and have longer conversations and just connect in a more meaningful way. And I know some of you watched, and Deborah Jackson is out there. She was there with me, and it was beautiful. So I'm just going to take you through a little bit about the first night. and what set the tone. So here it is. It's the first night and people are excited, and we open up on the conference with great music. And our first speaker is Rochelle McClary. Now, Rochelle is a practitioner and a ministerial student, and she's grown up in this teaching her whole life. So her talk was about leading in the age of disruption. So breathe that in for a moment. Leading in the age of disruption. What does that mean? What does that really mean? So for me, it speaks about the times we are living in. It speaks about these times of change. How do we stand anchored in the now? How do we stay anchored in the now when we continually want to look to the past and the future for answers? So she invited us to examine the status quo of our community and our life. Where are we attached? What are we attached to? Now, if you've ever taken one of the classes here in our center, the first thing you learn is about the principle of oneness. God is, we are. There's no separation. God is in it all. God is everywhere present, all of the time. Sometimes that can be a challenge to remember and embody, yet that's one of the ways that we stay anchored in the now, is always having that truth to go back to. She made us think about change and the patterns of change, and began us thinking about this truly being a time of change, and asked, what are you truly attached to? It's such a great question. What are you truly attached to, and how has that changed over the last 2 years? Because as we all know, whatever we were attached to probably got disrupted. I know there was a time at Oakland Center where people were attached to a certain style of minister, or the Clarewood Singers, or the Joy Choir, or the church pews. They were attached to Sunday church in a building at 5,000 Clarewood. And look at us now. All of that is gone. So what are we attached to now? We are living in a time of disruption. We're uncertain about a lot of things. I would venture to say that this is probably the most uncertain time any of us have ever experienced in our lives. Is it safe to go outside? Is it safe to be with people? Is it safe to get the booster? Will I ever take this mask off? Life as we know it has been disrupted. Amidst all of that, how do we stand in what we know? What are we willing to let go of attachment to? And letting go doesn't mean destroying the past, but it does mean acknowledging the patterns in our life and being willing to let them go, to redefine them. It does mean making some change. So Rochelle got us all thinking and warmed up for our next speaker, whom some of you may know, Edward Villon. Reverend Edward has been a minister of a church up the road for about 27 years. And he's not only a minister, I didn't mean that like only a minister, but he's not just a minister. That's not his only title. He is the spiritual community leader for Centers for Spiritual Living. So he continued this theme by reminding us that 10 years ago, we were celebrating our anniversary where the organizations underwent a merger of two organizations. One of them was United Church of Religious Science and Religious Science International. This was a major disruption in leadership. the source of so much change. It was messy, it wasn't fun, but most of us worked through it. Some people fell away, and that's okay. That's part of change. It's not always pretty. It can be messy and painful when you're disrupting a habit. I'm sure we all know that. We all have habits. I have a habit of not getting enough sleep. I have a habit of saying yes too much. I have a habit of procrastinating and leaving things till the last minute. But enough about me. In Science of Mind, we sometimes fall into a habit of spiritual bypass. We pretend that things are not perfect. We pretend that things are perfect or all good, when that may not be the truth of that moment. We sometimes get into a group mind thinking at our church or at our jobs or in other places where we conform to being nice and not speaking our mind. We don't want to ruffle feathers. We want to be liked. And when we do that, are we bypassing? Are we teaching people to look away? Haven't we all been somewhere where we could have spoken up or made a difference and we stayed silent? When I was younger, in my 20s-ish, I would make it a point to call someone out on their littering on the street, or if they threw their cigarette butts out the window, I would make sure that they knew it would end up in the ocean. I don't really do that anymore. Why? Because I'm scared or tired, or I just think everyone should know this already. But yes, all of those things are true. And I'm not always up for whatever conflict might follow. But by being conflict avoidant, I become a silent partner. If I don't speak up or out, I become part of the problem. Now, I'm not saying that anyone needs to do what I used to do. You might volunteer to clean up the streets or whatever your version is of being awake, aware, and participatory to what is going on. Reverend Edwards' talk let us know that as a leader, he's not willing to stand in silence anymore. In fact, if it's possible it is impossible. It is impossible to stand in that silence and to do that and truly embody the qualities that we say we are. So my takeaway from Edward was really a challenge for us to question our practice, a challenge to explore how we keep our teachings relevant. If we have learned nothing during this pandemic, we have learned that the way we learn is out of our hands. We can't control all circumstances. Change is happening, whether we like it or not. But I submit to you that we can control where we are living from and what we are committed to. We can control if we are walking our talk. Edward asked us, what does this teaching of oneness, compassion, and love teach me to take a stand for? What am I promoting, allowing, and permitting when I don't take a stand? I applaud us all for the growth work we've done during these times. I know that there are those out there that never thought you would master Zoom, and look at you now. We've done a lot of work in these last 2 years. We've done book studies. We now have words in our common vocabulary like racism and privilege and white supremacy and equity and marginalization. We cannot let these words lose their power by allowing them to become snappy dialogue we pull out during Black History Month or when we want to talk diversity and tolerance and all of those things. Edward reminded us that we can do better than just tolerating. In Centers for Spiritual Living, we have a vision of a world that works for everyone. In order to make that truly happen, we need to each do our part. We need to pause. We need to breathe. We need to have the uncomfortable conversations, sometimes over and over and over again. We need to not rush into our search for a new minister, but truly be with what is being called forth in our vision at Oakland Center. We need to return to principle and ask questions. We need to explore how to keep our church and these teachings relevant. We need to go within and explore, what am I allowing when I don't take a stand? We've seen great leaders in our lifetime take a stand when it's not popular. Archbishop Tutu, Martin Luther King Jr., and many of whom we will never even know their names. So can we truly embody principle, science of mind teachings, and take a stand for what we believe? The late Thich Nhat Hanh said, "The truth is the truth, whether or not it is accepted by the majority. Therefore, I tell you, children, it takes great courage to stand up for and protect what is right." We as the church and the community and individuals cannot live in separation and the belief that the world issues do not concern us. We can not speak of equity and a world that works for everyone without standing in our moral duty to explore these social issues. Nina said it so beautifully in her song. We can't deny that we've all been chosen. We're all superheroes when we embody God's qualities. So when we embody God's qualities, when we stand in principle, we must ask, if oneness had an opinion about racism, what would it be? If unconditional love did something about homophobia or any other phobia, what would it be? If the infinite mind had a say about what is going on in the world, what would it say? There's no mistake that you are here now for a reason. We in this teaching are better equipped than some for all the changes we've been through and experienced in the world. I believe we've come for this change. Each of you who are here today or listening to this recorded, I now anoint you sacred disruptors. Yes, the conference was thought-provoking. It was uncomfortable. It was exhausting. It was enlightening. It was exciting. And Cheryl McCleary so eloquently said, the moment we are living in now is the past made manifest and the embryo for the future. What are we calling forth for our future? It's all related to how we're standing in our now. So we've come to be agents of change. We've come to disrupt the unconscious, to awaken those that are sleepwalking, to disrupt the unconscious biases out of love and law, presence and principle. We're here to disrupt the status quo, to reimagine everything, to create and usher in sacred disruption. So whatever you stand for in your life, whatever called you to this thinking, to this philosophy, whatever you are called to be, now is the time to prove it. Thank you. So everybody take a breath. So just breathing into this moment and recognizing the breath of the divine, for which I am so grateful. So grateful for the very breath that breathes me. So grateful for spirit in action, for spirit as love, as presence, as knowledge, as family, as beauty, as grace, for all of that and the more. Knowing that I am one with the one, that I am inseparable from the divine, that I am inseparable from this calling. I know that that's true for each and every person on this call and within the sound of my voice. I know that we are one with the one, that we are truly that sacred beloved that was created in the image and likeness of the divine. I know that we go forth just allowing this challenge, this calling, this newness to reawaken our spirit, to reawaken what we know is truly the next step in the evolution of mankind. We know that we have made a difference on this planet simply because we've said yes, but we are here to play a bigger game. So we step into the now. We stand in the now. We embrace the now. And as we do that, we take our beloved community partner into prayer, knowing that this month's nonprofit partner, Hively, that their mission is to provide resources and support to ensure that everyone in the community can thrive. Our formerly Child Care Links and Family Services Counseling Community Resource Center, Hively provides children and families throughout Alameda County access to high quality social services. We say a word of prayer for our planet, for Mother Earth, in gratitude for her beauty and her resilience and our increasingly mindful stewardship of her. We bless our youth. We bless our youth and the youth of the world, knowing that they are guided by the loving mind, heart, and spirit. We bless our inner youth. We bless our inner child within us. We bless all of those in service and for creating truly a world that works for everyone. They work tirelessly and say yes with a vibrancy that surrounds this planet. We bless them. And we know right here and right now, love and comfort, peace of mind, and healing for all those impacted by any challenges, no matter what they are. We send love to our beloved Louise Thompson, RSCP, for continued healing, knowing that his body temple is on the mend, and his Aunt Hilda Daniel, knowing her wholeness and healing. We send love to the Blake family and Matios Girma, Sean Boomer, and our beloved Lita de Seville, who's requesting prayer for Michael and Audra and Zach Jones. We know that all of these beloveds feel the warmth of our love surrounding them right here and right now, and that their requests have been answered in the mind of God way before they were ever spoken. We send buckets of love to Regina Buckwalter, her sisters, Loretta and Merida. Loretta for wholeness and healing, and Merida for peace of mind and serenity, and blessing that whole family. We send love to Sam and Shannon Muse and all of those who are impacted by any kind of disaster or weather or COVID or variances. All of it right now is blessed and handled. And for those that are experiencing loss right now or experiencing a transition of a loved one, we wrap them in a blanket of peace and comfort. I send a prayer to Barbara Tompkins as she continues to release her son, Michael. For our beloved Judith Roberts, dear friend Catherine Pilage, peace of mind for Catherine's family. For Dorothy Mendez, her cousin, Denise Johnson, who made her transition. We're knowing peace of mind for Dorothy and her whole family. And we're knowing that this love it's inseparable, that it continues, that it grows. And we know the same for Margaret Domask, our precious Maggie, as she releases her sister, Mary Susan Domask Moody. We know that Mary Susan is right here with us right now, that love and that bond is never broken. So there is peace of mind for the Domask family. And we now just open the floor for you to say the names of any beloved that is in need of prayer, no matter where they are, no matter what side of the veil they're on. We know that they feel our prayers right now. So we speak these names that will not be forgotten, these names that can be spoken at any time and sent love, sent a healing power. Because that's what we do. We are leaders, all of us. We are practitioners. We are prayers. We are knowers. We are lovers of the divine. So we return that love, that light, that strength to all. So it's for this and so much more that I just give great thanks. I give great, great gratitude to our beloved Reverend Jerry for her willingness to say yes. To all that work with her, the board, Constance, everyone behind the scenes and up front for their willingness truly to stand in that light of God, to say yes when it's uncomfortable. And I know that we all do that. So I just bless this time. I bless this service, and I just allow it to be by saying, and so it is. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. And Reverend Jerry, I turn it over to you.
And so it is. And thank you, Robyn and Margo, for such a powerful expression of the one, that divine power that always is within each of us, for bringing it forth on this platform. And I'm blessing everybody behind the scenes who continue to bring forth and say yes with a capital YES to that divine presence within. What a blessing. I'm just so thrilled and so grateful for your wisdom, Margo and Robyn, and for everyone who's participated in the service today. Now, I do want to say before we go on to our giving affirmation that this is the first day of the season for nonviolence. And I know you'll receive more information on that if you go to our website, to the events page. And there are beautiful daily readings that our beloveds Linda Wyman and Deborah Jackson are going to be presenting each day. But because today's the first day, I really wanted to read today's reading, just a little paragraph about courage, since it takes a great deal of courage to stand in our yes, to stand in our truth. So let's just take a breath. Courage, day 1. Today, if you are able, light a match and accept the courage to practice 64 ways of living nonviolently. If no matches are available to you, picture a flame with your imagination. The flame represents the beginning of a new season, a reflection, growth, and practicing nonviolence. I hope that you will all join us for the season of nonviolence and practice with us with the daily readings and the opportunity to journal. There's so much more to this, but I share that with you now. And I also share with you that this is our conscious giving time. So if you will take your gift, I tithe with auto tithe, but I also like to send an additional gift. And so please hold your gift to your heart, or your virtual gift if you're an auto tither, because these gifts are so important and so in supporting our spiritual community that we call our spiritual home. So please join me in reading today's affirmation. This gift I give is God in action. It does good work in the world and blesses, I say, all of creation. And so it is. Thank you for your givingness of spirit. And just remember, you're stepping into that beautiful law of circulation that brings so much forth in our lives as we give. As we give and we receive, we bless it all. And there are so many wonderful ways to give. The donate button on our website, or you can now text to give, or use Zelle to give, or like I said, use the old-fashioned mailbox if need be. It all works. And we are so grateful for your gifts and appreciate your gifts so very much. So now I'm going to move us into our next portion of our service, which is our pulpit assistant, Zoe DeMuro, and then we'll have some more music. Hi, Zoe. Thank you.
Hello, Reverend Jerry. Thank you. And thank you to our truly engaging and passionate speakers this morning, Margo and Robyn. That was just exceptional, just exceptional. So I'm figuring that I'm probably going to be freezing periodically based on the way my internet connection is going, but I'm just going to keep going, folks. So thank our beloved minister, Reverend Jerry Carter, and our superb musicians, Kev Choice and Nina Porter, and all of the exceptional folks behind the scenes who make this service a reality. You are all a treasure to our village. And so, folks, if you would like prayer today, whether it's for yourself, for another, for the world itself, please remember that you can always call into the Oakland Center and request a prayer on our prayer line. Or you can go to the website, oaklandcsl.org, and there you'll find a listing of all of our practitioners know that we practitioners if you'd like a session, you'll find contact information in there as well as a listing of the practitioners who will conduct a free 30-minute session with you. For today, after service, we'll be conducting the prayer room on Zoom once again. So if there is something that is weighing on you or something that's uplifting your heart, please do stay on the call and we'll pair you up with a wonderful practitioner for what we often refer to as our 3-minute miracle. Remember, it's not a full practitioner session, but we are indeed delighted to pray with you. At this time, let's recite our closing affirmation and carry it into our week. Our affirmation:
It's there, Zoe. You can start.
okay. Our affirmation is, I become what I practice. And so it is. Thank you, folks. Let's finish the service in song. Take it away, Kev.
We give thanks for such a beautiful service. We give thanks for all in attendance. We give thanks for the music, the prayers, the sermon, the message. I'm just giving thanks for you all. I'm gonna leave you with a brief musical prayer, musical meditation on continuing to shed light in this world, taking the messages, taking the inspiration that was heard today, and sharing it with someone and continuing to be the light. Because we are the light of the world. Take it from a sunrise song called There Is No Sun. The world is full of darkness when there is no sun. The world is full of darkness when there is no sun to light the way. When there is no sun to light the way, there is no day. There is no day. There's only darkness, eternal sea of darkness, when you don't shed your light. Shed your light. Shed your light. Shed your light. The world is full of darkness when there is no sun. The world is full of darkness when there is no sun to light the way. When there is no sun to light the way, there is no day, beautiful day. There's only darkness, eternal sea of darkness, when we don't shed our light. The world is full of darkness when there is no sun. The world is full of darkness, when there is no sun to light the way, when there is no sun to light the way, there is no day, there is no day, there's only darkness, eternal sea of darkness, when you don't shed your light, shed your light, shed your light. Everywhere you go, to everyone you know, shed your light, shed your light, like the sun, eternal love, like the sun, eternal light, eternal light. Give thanks. Happy Sunday. Have a blessed one.